All right, we can get started with our April 14th work session of the Penfield Planning Board. Allison, you want to call the roll?
Okay, Mr. Hetzke.
Here.
Mr. Tidings.
Here.
Burton.
Here.
Valentine.
Here.
Sangster.
Here.
O'Connor.
Here.
Weissar.
Here.
Okay. We have minutes.
We have minutes from March 22nd. For any comments, questions, concerns? Everybody,
I move that we accept the meeting minutes from the last meeting.
In a second.
And I can second it, Mr. Chairman, because I did review the meeting in the absence on vacation. So yes.
Terrific.
Okay, moved by Burton, seconded by Tidings. Hetzke.
Aye.
Burton.
Aye.
Tidings.
Aye.
okay, our one tabled item is Bayview Landing. We did receive PRC response comments from the applicant. We received those. We're still waiting for the geotech report, the wetland delineation, as well as the stormwater calculations for that. We're also waiting for full building elevations for the consultant to take a look at. The direction from this board last time was to have Chris Lopez look at it. We provided him with some initial comments. He's reserving doing that review until he gets full renderings and drawings of that. So just want to make sure this board is okay with him holding off on that. Otherwise, if they come back with revised drawings, he'd have to do that again. So this evening, I don't think staff is has all the information we need yet to sign off on it. And then your architectural consultant is also waiting for some additional information from them on that.
Okay. So, anybody have any questions on that at the moment?
I don't, it looks like all we have is elevations that were submitted back on March 1st yet. So.
Right.
Yep, and I know the board asked for additional elevations, and especially the backside, with the side that fronts on Empire Boulevard
And corrections to make them actual Penfield ones instead of Chi-Li.
Yep.
That would be good.
So, entertain a motion to table?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Burton, seconded by Tidings.
Yes.
Yes.
It's going to be a
Okay.
pattern tonight, probably.
Hetzke.
Aye.
Burton.
Aye.
Tidings.
Aye.
Okay, so that's all the items we have that are currently tabled. We do have a few miscellaneous items. The first is Panorama Plaza, building facade. We shared this with the board at the last meeting, asked for Chris Lopez to take a review of this. He did take a look at that, came back with some basic comments. As late as this afternoon, we did receive some lighting cut sheets. Those were in your drop this evening. We did not get those out earlier than that, because we did just receive those today.
So they'll load on the computer automatically?
Yes, when you sync, those will load up tonight when you resync to that. So, knowing that you just got those today, I'm not expecting you to look at those at the moment. Just didn't know if the board was comfortable with sending, if you had a chance to look at Chris Lopez's comments, and whether the board wanted to move sending those to the developer, or whether the board had additional thoughts. They did send in some color samples.
Was that elevation that he had up on the screen when we started here intended to show these colors?
Parts of it, I think that's the brown that's up above, and I think that's the tan-ish, beigeish color in the middle.
So this is
So that's
gray.
which I think is supposed to be that color there, and I think the brownish color is the brown up above.
Allison, is that you walking into the store right there?
Yeah, exactly.
And then there's brick materials, and so I don't know what the the board's thoughts are, if you want to reserve.
I think we should send Chris's comments to the applicant. And
Okay, I know
let
he
them
had
address
some
them.
minor
That's fine.
comments on it. I think overall he was happy with what they were doing to modernize the look of it a little bit, colors with that, and then in the meantime, if the board wants to look at the lighting
Very nice.
samples, and then hopefully be in a place coming into the next meeting that the board has all the information they need to make a decision.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, do we need to take an action on that?
Does
or-
that rendering go down to the far end, the other end?
Probably not.
It shows a part of it, because the only, yes, it does. That is the other end.
Far end, isn't it?
George's Restaurant is on the
Very end.
far east end. And then they don't show the Tops piece, because Tops, I guess, is under a different agreement. So at this point in time, Tops is not changing.
Okay, yeah, I was
They're
wondering
looking-
if anything that they're proposing to do would alter the,
You can see
the,
kind of the edge of Tops. They're working with
the
them.
floodplain conditions and the variance that they got several years ago for.
No, there's nothing that's a build-out or an extension into the plaza. It's merely just facade changes, mostly the upper parapet
Okay.
adjustments on that.
Okay.
So I guess if the board wants to move to send Chris's Lopez's letter to the developer would be the action.
So moved.
Second.
Hetzke,
Aye.
Burton,
Aye.
Tidings.
Aye.
Okay, the next miscellaneous item is Penfield Place Nursing Home. We did send you out some information, and things have changed even since then. Originally, they came before this board sometime last year, and were approved for a 15,000 square foot plus or minus addition to their building. They were working with the state of New York. As most senior facilities, they are granted a number of beds that they have. So they were switching from a two-bed or two-person room system to a single room system, as well as adding additional beds to that. We were contacted by their engineer last week saying that they did not get the beds from the state. They were still going to do a portion of the expansion, given that they were still moving from 2 in a room to 1 in a room, and wanted to move ahead with that. This week, the Penfield Place is trying to reach out back to the state. They'd still like to pursue the beds. They're pursuing that again, so at this point, they're only asking the board for a 90-day extension, keep their current approval active. Hopefully during the next 90 days, they'll get a determination from the state one way or the other, and then make a final determination of whether they go ahead with the smaller addition or back with the original approval.
Did they share with you the copy of the certificate of need that they filed with the health department?
I believe they did originally. We can pull that back out, but they didn't re-up that with us this time, but I think that was in the original.
Did they tell you why the
submission.
health department denied your application?
I don't know whether it was something technical or not. I don't know. They just came back to us and said, you know, we didn't get the beds. We're still going to go ahead with the partial expansion. And that's why it originally was on your agenda as a miscellaneous item tonight. It'd be reduction in scope. The board already approved a larger scale project, so with reduction, it was just going through the logistics of that and minor site plan modifications.
Yeah.
It seems like they're still pursuing that, so if the board is
Yeah.
comfortable with a 90-day extension, give them some time to work out that.
Yeah, I don't have any problems with it. That was my application, so I'm making a motion to
Extend.
Grant the 90 days.
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, Hetzke,
Aye.
Burton,
Aye.
Tidings.
Aye.
Okay, this is just an FYI, the Oak and Apple Cidery, just to update the board on kind of where that's at the moment. That was asked to be an adjourned application, was originally supposed to be a public hearing tonight. Obviously, we're not having a public hearing on that. The applicant did have a meeting with the neighbors in this room. Staff and the board were not present. We wanted that to be a meeting with the neighbors and the applicant, not have the staff there and have a hearing not in the public forum. They had that meeting. Again, I wasn't there, but I think anytime an applicant and the neighbors can get together, sit, talk, have an interaction back and forth, I think is beneficial. So hopefully that went well. I know the applicant is still working with his attorney to come up with a response to the board's original question, our council's question of how do they meet the needs of, meet the merits of the easement, as well as ag and markets laws. I think they're working on that. I believe the town board is going to take a look at this as well. The easement was originally put in place, was a town board action, so any modification or interpretation of that easement would go to the town board. So I think their next step would be go to the town board, get a determination on the easement, how they meet those requirements. I think that's why they're still working on that. Based on how that turns out with the town board, they could reapply and come back as a preliminary final or have a public hearing again before this board. So,
You haven't gotten any feedback on anybody that attended the site meeting?
I spoke with their counsel. He thought it, went fairly well. he said, some people still have concerns, and he didn't think we changed everybody's mind about it, but he thought it was helpful and definitely beneficial for it. I have not had a chance to talk to the neighbors that came and what their thoughts and opinion were of it, so I say it's third-party information. I wasn't there to say, my thoughts on it, but I did speak with our council afterwards just to say, how did it go? He was at least, appreciative that, we accommodated them in the room, gave them an opportunity to meet here and have the discussion, so.
Okay.
Anything else to?
No, the town board would have had to address it one way or another, because the easement contemplates in the future that the farmstead area would be designated, and that would be something that both the landowner and the town board would agree on, and there's a mechanism in the easement to do that, so that would be something that the town board would have to deal with anyways.
So
part of the response, part of the response that you're expecting from the applicant is not just how they believe that they comply with the provisions of the easement and the state regs, but also where they believe they can designate that farmstead area so that can be vetted by the town board.
Yeah, well, I would think that would be something that would be addressed when if there is a time when they're appearing before the town board. The way that the easement reads, I would say wherever their kind of development is, like the outside of the development area is probably like gonna coincide with the farmstead area. And then everything else would still be farm area. There would be no homestead area on this parcel. So nothing more formal than, this is the area where we're going to develop, and this is obviously what we think should be the farmstead area.
what's the protocol for us taking action? Do we just take no action on this? Do we table it? What do we do?
I think you take no action, because right?
So you need a
not
vote.
really,
There's not a pending application before the board.
No, it was adjourned, and it's, so just wait until it comes back to the planning board,
Okay.
because one way or another it probably will, I would imagine. Well, unless it, I guess it's possible it might not, but.
Right.
So
Okay.
that was
Yeah.
just kind of an update for the board. That was supposed to be your public hearing tonight, just kind of want to give you a status of where that's at, what's happened since then.
Right.
Notify you that the neighbor meeting did happen, and hopefully it was beneficial.
Good.
Next item.
Thank you for the update.
Doug queued up the next picture for you, and going back a few years, this board dealt with the subdivision Montgomery Glen off of Hatch Road, east side of the road. And Doug, I did pull up, if you go into the planning board project 2016 under our drive. I'm sorry, it's not active projects, the planning board meeting file. As part of the application, the neighbors to the north in Bloom's End, Harvest Walk neighborhood had concerns about removal of the trees on the north side of Montgomery Glen. It was debated back and forth, a lot of discussion about it. It just needs to be rotated, but we'll have to see. But on the north side, the board elected not to put a conservation easement over to permanently restrict the neighbors from removing the trees on the property. The one thing the board did put in place was a note on the plan, or asked for a note on the plan to say a 30-foot wide strip to be a no grading zone for the developer. It's not a permanent restriction. There is no deed restriction, conservation easement over removal of trees or work by the homeowner in the future. It was just to preserve the trees during construction, development of the road, installing utilities and everything else to leave that tree buffer area. As Doug had pulled up in the Google Maps, shows that many of the other neighbors that are already there have decided to clear out some portions of, install fences in that area. One of the property owners between these two lots right now has come back. It's not showing up on this photo, but has had their home built in the fall. The developer is coming back now in the spring to finalize his lawn, and has reached out to the developer and said, I will pay you extra to clear some of the trees and install a fence such as my neighbor did. The developer called us and said, I know I'm not supposed to go in the zone. I can't, I can't do that. And called us for it. And I said, I'll bring it back to the planning board because the prohibition was against them clearing it. We just want to see, or the board's intent was not to see it all clear cut as part of the development of the original subdivision. But I believe the board's intent was not to restrict homeowners in the future of utilizing their property and doing what they had. But he called me and said, I know we're supposed to leave a 30-foot strip, what do I do? So that's why I'm kicking it back to the board for your interpretation of what that previous board's intent was. Any board members are still here. But I guess knowing that if they don't hire the developer to do it, they could hire a landscape person tomorrow to do something similar, or they could do it themselves, or the same thing, but I did want to bring it back. For
To me, it's two separate and distinct events, the way I see it anyway.
I think the developer met the intent of the original development. He graded the site, installed the road, did the rough grading, left the tree buffer as was intended by this board. But obviously you can see some homeowners elected to go in and as their right on their property. There was no conservation easement, we have in other locations that would prohibit tree removal or grading or impact in that area. It's just the intent to kind of preserve that buffer during the initial development phase. The rest of the board feel the same? Okay.
So,
I don't know if we need an official vote on it, whatever, just an interpretation from the board on that action, but I can let the developer know that the board is comfortable with him as a, like you said, as a separate action from the development.
yeah, you have the development, and they're following the rules of the development after the fact, whether it's 1 year, whether it's 20 years. I don't feel that we should preclude the homeowner from hiring whoever they want, so to speak, to do work on their property.
Is the letter of credit still valid?
We do still have portions of the letter credit for grade and seed and other things,
So is it-
on those development lots.
Is there merit in having something in your file that suggests that?
I mean, we would document it in the meeting minutes of this evening, the board's interpretation, I'd communicate with the developer, but it was, I just wanted something in the minutes documenting that the board was comfortable with that determination, and if a question ever did come up, we did close
It's like the
public
view of the
comment.
board is that the condition that was imposed has been met, because now, during the initial layout and site development, that wasn't graded on that, and so that condition has been met, so it's not like we need to do anything now, except to say, in our view, the condition was met, right?
Yeah, I think, we didn't want to hamstring a homeowner on a good chunk of their property and keep them from doing anything to it, but we still wanted to maintain as many trees as possible. So instead of it being clear cut during site development, we still have trees there. And yet, if a homeowner wants to go and thin it or improve it in another way, they should be able to do so.
Okay. As long as
I'm good with that one.
we got a quorum of the board that thinks so, then, okay. Should that be memorialized in a vote, or?
I don't know what you would vote on, that,
I think as long as it's documented in the minutes and the board discusses,
Who's in that
the board's
track,
supportive of it, then
Who's in that track?
I think that's fine.
the builder? Okay.
Okay.
Who's the builder? Barone?
Okay. All right.
So
Okay.
I applaud them for their due diligence, calling up, saying,
Absolutely.
I want to make sure I'm meeting the requirements, I don't want,
Right.
to go against the board's judgment, so I applauded them for calling, and said I'd add it as a miscellaneous item for the board's discussion. That's all the miscellaneous items I had. I'm just going to highlight, I think Zach sent out some stuff on annual training. There's some programs coming up on that. And we also, in your drop and in your hand, we got some literature about some land use law information that's also in your drop today, so you have it electronically as well, but we had a couple of hard copies of that, so we passed it on to the board for consideration for training as well.
This is
Jerry Goldman.
So that's all I have this evening for the board. We have another work session at the end of the month. We'll see where Bayview Landing is, and as well as Penfield Place, so those will be carryover items to that. And then at this point, we do have one item on your May agenda for public hearing. It's just a 2-lot subdivision on Jackson Road. And we'll get you those details in the future drop. They're not included this evening.
you both gonna be here next meeting?
I'm sure I am, but calendar.
Okay.
I mentioned to Mark, we talked a few years ago about maybe having some PowerPoint presentations or video presentations about, planning and land use regulations.
During a work session or?
Well, when we have a short night like
Sure.
tonight, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but, some of these programs that are,
We've
developed
done
by
that
the
in the
departments.
past.
So I think we did an open meetings law one evening, and
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's a great idea. If we have a light agenda, we can
Yeah,
get
it'd be
some of
nice
our
to have some
training
canned,
accomplished.
and put them
Yeah,
right
yeah, we
in
have
so
stuff
that,
prepared, and
Yeah.
the board needs to get their 4 hours of training per year, and we can incorporate
well,
those in the meetings.
some of these
That's-
programs that are taught at the Regional Planning Council conferences and stuff, they're like 45, 50 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, that one at MCC, I mean, they're good, but it's like, 3 or 4 hours
Yeah,
at night.
they're tough,
It's a
but
long-
the shorter
So if we
programs.
can do a 45-minute to an hour one,
Yeah,
on a short
Yeah.
night, that would,
do they still do those? I haven't seen anything advertised for,
Yeah.
at MCC in a while. County.
Well, the one for the Regional Planning Council is down at Burgundy Basin every year.
Oh, right, that's one, but that's during the day, right?
Yes, it is.
They can't take off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a good
Some
idea.
sandwiches?
So what we could do is maybe come up with some
we can pick a
topics,
couple
find
of
out,
topics, and then if we
maybe, I
have a,
don't know if your firm has any PowerPoints or any
We do.
presentations that are already
We
prepared.
do, but the state has some that I think they'll provide to municipalities
for
for
free.
free.
We should do that for sure.
Yep.
It's a good idea.
Las
okay,
Vegas.
we can have some on
Especially
standby,
the
and then
ones
it
that
says
are, the ones that are moving targets,
Right.
seeker and stormwater. And
Yeah, I think the new stormwater regs, something going over that would be good.
so there's some other things that are going on that would tie into the town's green committee. There's a new program coming out called Model Communities that some neat things for town to participate in. That if the town chose to participate, they would get some free money under some state programs and things. So there's
there's climate smart communities, there's some
Climate
other,
Smart Communities, cleaner
some other ones we've
communities.
looked at in the Energy Advisory Committee, we've looked at those as well.
Anybody hear any dates on, I was talking about Cadovas, I hear the signs up from some people in town, but any idea when they're gonna,
I have not, I
Be
can check with
finished.
the building department and see what their schedule was, and what's kind of been a slow build on that one, but
Yeah.
it seems like they're finally, at least the outside is coming together. They've had the site work done for a while, but I'm not sure what the,
and then zoning, I watched the meeting from the 17th zoning board about Shoecraft Road, about the 4-lot subdivision that we had in front of us that we sent back to zoning.
yes, it was denied
Denied, yeah.
for the additional
Lot.
lot of the 4, and I assume they're looking at, whether they want to come back for the 3-lot application.
Yeah. Okay. I thought that was interesting, I watched that the other night. I think it was
There's
all,
also May 4th? Mixed use?
May 4th will be the mixed-use public hearing with the town board, so information will be coming out shortly on that. That's the piece on 250.
250.
So it'll be the town-wide public hearing for that.
So is that hearing specifically about the Atlantic Avenue property or about the mixed use?
The mixed
zone?
use, talking about the
Mixed-use
zoning of
district.
it. So we're proposing a new ordinance
Yeah, that's
and
been-
proposing a new adoption of a mixed-use manual with that, and then also looking at rezoning of that quarter from the YMCA up towards Penfield Center Road. Originally, that had also included Manitou Lake, Manitou Lake has subsequently been sold off to a private individual who wasn't interested in having that rezoned at this point in time.
Any idea what's going in those new building up next to Jeremiah's on Route 215 or 441?
Yes, that's Dr. Flone's property next to Panera.
Correct.
He's got a 3-unit, I believe it's Moe's, AT&T, and Hairzu.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
certain about Moe's. The other two, I'm pretty sure that's what's coming in the next pieces on that.
And that road's gonna continue around the back eventually, back
Yep.
up to that other road out to the
He's
side.
working with Mr. Trow on buying up some of his property, the car wash, and looking to, connect all that together with some rear access drives.
Okay. All right.
That's all I have. If the board's
If we have nothing else, we will adjourn. Thanks for coming.